So what is the book about, and how will it work best for the reader?
Okay. The book is about spirituality. It's about transformation, transmutation, transcendence, transfiguration. All those four combinations are alchemical shifts of energy that we create and crystallize and make solid into our world, and as we see each other, the suits that we wear, having an experience called the human life experience, and when we wait to die in the next world, heaven, and all these things that we were told in the past, all the myths. Yes, it's true, but we don't have to wait for the afterlife. We can bring it here, right here, in the present. In the present moment is where everything is. And so the meta, which is a Greek derivative, meta means after, and physical, means solid. And which brings me to some of my, okay, if I'm answering the questions, I think that one of my inspirations and references, and they have been experiences, the theory of relativity. I will introduce Einstein, and why not? Einstein had a lot to do with energy and shifting of energy, and that it's relative, the relativity, meaning relative, meaning time and space are here and now. Past, present, future, it's all a linear time, and what we want to do is acknowledge that those are points of reference. They are markers in time that we use to refer back or to have a sort of memory. And what this book is about is expanding the mind in a way that we let go of all meaning and concepts of what we think things are, because most of those things are passed down through lineage, passed down through the postage stamp consensus of opinions, to that scientific theory that yes, this is truth, but all it is an opinion. What is truth? It comes from our perspectives and the way we see things through those perspectives. When we change our perspectives, we change our reality. So the first thing that this book is going to be doing is retraining the mind, letting go of things. Nothing is significant. We all try to find meaning within everything, and approval for that meaning, that we actually mean something to people. And that's all irrelevant, and that's all we ever strive for, is relevance. And really, do we have relevance? And the more we try to find that identity, what ends up happening is we become stuck in it. And so what I'm trying to say here, I know you're going to ask me other questions, and these questions are just inspiring me to motivate me to speak about the book. This book came from the Course in Miracles, and it had to do with channelers, it had to do with spirituality, metaphysical spirituality. I was ordained back in 2016 or something like that, last year, and I became a reverend into the Canadian International Metaphysical Ministry. And through that, I got inspired. I had to read this book called The Course in Miracles. And I thought, oh God, I can't even make it through this book. Why? Because it was just very one way. It really, in the beginning, it was very useful, very good to remove all the programs and how to retrain your mind. But then again, it started bringing it all back again in the way that people would relate to religion. It started becoming more of that kind of thing. Anyway, I don't want to have any further opinion about that, but it did, on a good note, inspire me to come up with the things that I've experienced in my life and put together the things that inspired me from other, like for instance Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer was a great inspiration for me. The type of man where he grew up, he was adopted, I'm adopted, I could really connect, and that's what this book is about, is really the shifting cannot begin if we don't start from the heart, the level of feeling. Yes, they might say the feeling, the heart is actually from the limbic system. We have parasympathetic, sympathetic, and how we react. But if it's not cleared, if those emotions, those traumas, those imprints upon us, if we do not clear those things, then we cannot lighten up. And all those things will come to the surface and we will become very reactionary. It's like pushing buttons. So this book is about training the mind to reaffirm through thoughts, and most of all in the beingness. What is important is being. We have in our society have been through the ages impressed and pressed upon the programs that we must do. So what it is you do, it's so important what we do. But really, how can we do if we don't be? So what we have to try and do is release this doing, release this ego mind, the ego mind of small little me who gets trapped into this identity and can't leave it and becomes crystallized as one narrow-minded perspective. And what we want to do is shift out of that and be able to become more fluid, more mutable, and enlightened. And where we start from is this 0-point field that everybody's calling it in the New Age, and that begins from the heart. And this is another way of silencing the mind. And it's true, as soon as you do that, we can begin. And it starts with affirmations, and affirmations for me started way before the Course of Miracles. It started with Louise Hayes. Louise Hayes was another one of those who had the Hay House, and she passed away before Wayne Dyer, and that group of people, Marianne Williamson even too came up with A Course in Miracles of her own version. But this is not just that. It combines artificial intelligence, it combines Eastern philosophy with Western philosophy, it combines different forms of, to get to the point. What it does come down to is letting go of resistance. When we let go of resistance, what happens is our Kundalini, our feminine primal energy, that chi, whatever you want to call it, is able to do its thing. It's no longer oppressed, repressed, whatever suppression comes from the blockages of our minds and our beliefs of what we think, we say. Words are very powerful, and this is why affirmations are very important. So it gets you to use your imagination. Imagination is also very important and visual. And I do believe I've kind of rambled on, and so anything else that you want to trigger me with again?
So what does it mean to follow your heart or your passion over doing what is rational and right?
Okay, so what happens is when we get to this level of it's a conflict. This is where resistance can start from, because we are taught different things and programmed to do. This is your duty. This is what you do is traditional. This is you want a family, or do you want to follow your passion? You know, and actually following your passion is what life is all about. Following your greatest joy, your greatest excitement. And what has happened is we're misinterpreting those feelings now. We've become so disconnected, and we want to control things. So when we become disconnected from our feelings, our limbic system, our heart, if you want to call it following our heart, going with our feelings, when we disconnect from that, we enter into a world where we have to do things without liking them, and it becomes work. But when we follow our passion, it goes beyond our common sense, because nothing really makes sense when we remove all the programs. And we feel really good. And then as soon as we start trusting and following that confidence, what happens is the next step shows up for us, and then the next step shows up for us. And we really don't need coaching, because our coach, our greatest coach, is found within. And when we can make that connection through the heart, our higher mind opens, and we connect with the higher self, called our greatest coach. That is our coach, our higher self. That inner voice comes through feeling. When we start allowing ourselves to feel, we can open to the senses we have. We open to extrasensory perceptions, and our essence is radiating out, and whatever it is being decoded, our essence picks up on things, and when we feel good, everything else ripples out and follows and resonates, and we connect that way. I don't know, following my heart. Sometimes it's always been like, you gotta do what's right. The ego mind gets in the way. The ego mind is the rational, the hurt little inner child that, you know, was told that you can never have your way. And, you know, and following your heart, so you have to, of course, when you start following your heart, all these things, all these traumatic experiences, all these negative beliefs will come to the surface and will challenge you. And how you deal with them, and be able to release them, play them out, however it is, and then the more you can clear that, then your heart will be able to show you the way.
Can you tell me some of the exercises to expect from the book, and how they can be helpful?
We start off with what we have here is we start off with, the exercises. Okay, so do you want me to say this book, you can actually read through it, it's nice and everything, you might get something out of it, but the inner critic is not going to go away, and the first thing we like to do is criticize. Oh, look, there's a spelling error, or look at this, or this is not making any sense. Okay, when we let go of our critic minds, the ego can go to the corner and have a cookie and some milk, and then we can begin. This takes a commitment. You can take a whole year, and that's what it requires. It welcomes you to a 46-week, 6-day course, and it is 365 days. I'm gonna put, because if I start looking at the book, I'll get mixed up, and so no cue notes. And it's 319 lessons. Okay, and it starts off with. Okay, what does it start off with? The inner voice, finding the inner voice through the flame. So what it's really doing is it's putting you through the chakras, the various chakras and solar wheels and the rainbow, the different colors and energies, and how we get light is through sound. So this is what it's doing. It's practicing so that we can find our inner voice, and the more exercises we do and we find creative ways of, like, yoga, meditation, all these things are tools. All these tools are exercises, practices, and what they actually are there to do is designed to help us let go of our own resistances, so we can get out of the way and let our Kundalini do, rise and ripple out, and the energy, and actually follow our passion. What is Kundalini? It's the chi, it's the life force, the force that's always being oppressed, and we feel like that's through our blockages because of our mind, because that's what makes sense. But really, that peripheral vision is we have to transcend beyond that and become enlightened. And how do we do it? Is through the heart. Okay. So after that, there's like 14 lessons, and there's sermons. There's 17 sermons that are combined to kind of break up the lessons in the beginning. And then after the 14th lesson, I think it is, right, you end up getting 2 days off to recalibrate and just take some time out, and and then after that, you go back into the lessons, and we start with affirmations. And I start like kind of introducing a little bit of the similarities to the Course in Miracles, how it was, you know. But I'm also integrating all aspects, not just the patriarchal or the doing or the masculine or the heaven, or what it is the becoming from a carbon state being, a carbon copies that we are. And the more we release these blockages and energies, it's working through our shadows, if you want to call it that, is shadow work. And that's what this carbon copy is. As soon as we deal through all our shadows and we do our shadow work and all our dark aspects, and we're able to integrate them, we start lightening up and we become sovereign. And that's what my whole ministry is all about, is the sovereign light, finding your own authenticity and becoming one in resonance to that oneness. That's what the whole thing is about. And so after, there's just too much to talk about here. And
so if you had to sum it up in one word, the point of the exercises, what would that be?
Okay, they're activations to get you thinking. What would it be? Is to clear your energetic field, okay? To clear yourself so that you can become a crystalline being. You know, everything, I truly believe in Christ and His teachings, and but it goes beyond that gender idolism ideology of idol worshipping, because really what that does is throw you back into enslavement. And becoming sovereign is all about freeing and liberating yourself. And that's what my ministry is all about. Is finding your authenticity and becoming one within, from that 0 point field. We learn how to use our intention and create anything it is we want to create. But we have to connect with our inner child, and that's the real creator. And if I was to sum it up at all in one word, to release the little me ego and find the higher mind, to not be triggered and have that discernment, to be able to be the observer by using your frontal lobe. And underneath that frontal lobe is this thing that the more it expands and neural pathways are created, and what happens is we become, we respond, we become mindful. I didn't want to use that saying, I know, but this suggests that we're full of things in our mind, but we want to clear our minds and have nothing there so that we can create anything it is we want to create. Because it's like we go to a theater and the projector is us. We're projecting onto our world what we want to see. And when we clear all the programs and when we clear all those blockages, we can create anything we want in our world. And that's what we want to become, one with God as creator beings. And so did I cover everything? And so what it was trying to say is that every 13 days you get 2 days off, and then every 6 days you get 1 day off, which goes all the way to lesson 308. And then from there, after the 2 days off, you go to lesson 308, and then you only get 11 more lessons. So it works out to 365 days, 319 lessons, 17 sermons, to just, you know, kind of give you things that you might have not experienced, and help you to wake up. The Sovereign Light, A Course in Metaphysical Spirituality. Pick it up.